Everybody, welcome to IT Live, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. I'm Tex Homer. That is Paul Wadlington. Hey, guess what? ESPN dropped their returning production, and Texas looks better than they did last year. We're going to discuss that and why experience matters. Also, basketball is back on the scene, baby. He's writing some good stuff, and so towards the end, we'll talk how basically the top two conferences in the NIL world have taken over the sport. But before we do that, head over to Inside Texas right now. Spring sale, 50% off. You'll get our board, Inside Texas. And then on 3 for national football news and rivals for your recruiting size. Ultimate fan bundle, link in the description. Would love to see you over there, guys. Howdy, Paul. What's going on, man? Nothing, just doing a video. How about you?
I'm just going to hang out and watch you do your video.
Cool,
I
man.
put myself on mute for a while.
Right,
cool activities.
All right, sounds good, man. Yeah, you can just read or hang out.
Hey, I got my garbage out just in time before the garbage truck rolled in. That's a good feeling,
huge,
man.
Dude. That's really big.
Pretty clutch. I'm having a good day.
Yep. You're not playing around.
No, strong Tuesday, Connor.
Let's get after it then. Let's keep the good times rolling then, Paul. Texas ends up 6th in returning production, 4th on offense, and 19th on defense. Hey, that's pretty cool. How much do you factor in returning production, Paul?
I do factor it until the Clemsons of the world remind me that sometimes it doesn't matter if you suck.
Yep.
Also, look at Maryland there at number 2, just sleeping giant.
National champion sitting right there. Sitting right there.
So I guess the returning production is predicated not just on native homegrown starts at Texas, like a Wingo, but your transfer starts as well, right?
Right.
So you're going to get upgraded from a Lawrence Seymour, guys like that. The question is, how much does Lawrence Seymour and his multiple starts translate to high-level SEC FBS starts? So The answer is we think somewhat, but we don't know. But I do think this is a more experienced team. I think the more important take, not to put a puncture in the balloon here of our premise here right off the bat, I think more important than experience is talent. And we're clearly more talented. Once you check that box, then it's also good that we're more experienced, if that makes sense.
Yeah, if you get experienced talent, now you're really talking, right?
Yes, 100%. Whereas highly experienced bad players, like at Nebraska and Maryland, I'm not sure how much that helps you. They're experienced at losing, right?
Right. Yeah, but it is better than last year, right? And so this is one of the – and it's not like, a team is going to – because you're top 6 here in the national championship, but it generally does correlate. I can't remember the exact number. I'll use all my science words, but it does correlate with an improved record the next year, generally across the board. And the higher up you get into that, the more wins it's worth. I don't know if it's 1 or 2 or what, but there is generally some type of proven advantage to this system.
Yeah, I just think the main thing is we're going to be tweaking these algorithms of what returning experience or experience that you didn't derive at that school means. Is it 1-to-1? Is it 0.9 to 1? Right? Like, look down the list here at Texas Tech. So we know that they lost a ton of players from their very successful local regional little superpower that, flubbed on the big stage in the playoffs. But now they've renewed again with a bunch of experienced guys. They spent money to get Brendan Sorsby, to get guys, whatever. Is it a 1-to-1? Or is that transfer, is it worth more than 1? Is it 1.1 to 1, right? Bringing in these new guys because you handpicked them. Or does some of them not always translate 100%? And, they also have to talk about scheme, right? What's their fit? If it's a lot of new faces, but they're all experienced faces, do you run schemes that are friendly towards the adoption of a quick uptake on offense or defense? And that's one of the reasons I was talking about the veer and shoot is making a resurgence, because it's very much a plug and play offense where you can teach all the principles in one offseason pretty well, right? Whereas, I don't know. I mean, people always talk about Texas as being this incredibly complex offense. I think that's exaggerated, but
it's a little overhyped. Yeah.
Yeah. But there are other offenses where, like, I'd say USC, I think there is some uptake in what Lincoln Riley wants to do in some of his schemes. But it's going to be interesting to see what the translation is. And it's a fascinating rubric to look at it. And we're just waiting for guys to come back and get in pads, and then we can talk about real football again, right?
Yeah, it'd be nice if they had a little number that wasn't factored in, but they just had like a transfer rate number, just so you could kind of glance, and see. Because I'm sure a lot of these teams are experiencing transfers coming in like Tech, but I don't know. Like, is Notre Dame mostly homegrown, right? So it's like I'm sure that matters more. But also, I mean, the same thing can happen within the same team. Like, you change your offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
It's the same, even though no one transferred, it's still the same concept of you got to figure something else out.
So on this list, just eyeballing it for my own research, I know that Notre Dame and Georgia are the most homegrown.
Okay.
Of the two in the top 10. Notre Dame at 1, Georgia at 8. So whereas UCLA, a lot of transfer experience coming in. Minnesota's a homegrown for the most part. PJ Fleck he's got his own little culture. I know you love it, Connor. The slogans.
Yeah, I love it. So good. They yeah, but it's like I get the transfer factor, but it's like, I don't know, man. If the transfer is Cam Coleman, that feels good. That feels
that's what I was gonna say. I mean, Cam Coleman's a very
not a dean,
Well, he checks both boxes at the very start of this. He's very, very talented and very experienced. So now we're going to get him in a better ecosystem, surrounded by a better quarterback, better supporting cast of skill players, so he can't be focused on. We're going to allow him to run more than like 2.5 routes. And cool. So hopefully he's going to cook. So we're, 1,200 yards, 13 touchdown season incoming.
Yeah. Were there any other quick, things of note as you scan down this that you thought? Texas A&M? I thought they were losing a lot. I thought that was the whole point of Texas A&M.
Well, they did, but again, they brought in guys who were experienced. So, for Cassius Howell, that sort of rusher spot on their front four, they lost him, but they brought in some guys. One of them is a fifth-year guy from Northwestern, sort of as a specialized pass rusher. They lost a crap load on their offensive line. So I'm surprised they were able to endure that and still end up 14th. They did bring in some transfers though. So yeah, I mean, it's a little odd. I think a lot of these returning experience rubrics that we're looking at now are not as useful as they used to be just 3-5 years ago.
Yeah, I need that transfer rate number. So I need to be able to understand what's going on there. That would help me kind of, I don't know, handicap it.
Agreed.
Oklahoma 16th. I mean, so our rivals are up there. I mean, that's important. And then is Ohio State? Okay, Ohio State's right here, 31st. So pretty good on offense. Okay.
Someone in the chat says Tech will fall back to mediocrity in 2026. That's not going to happen. They are a little regional dominant.
They get to be the king of the sandbox, man. Like
they are Boise State about 20 years ago in the Mountain West. So they're double digits favorites preseason in every single game they play. So if you're saying they're going to fall back to mediocrity, you're expecting Brendan Sorsby to blow out his knee, and you're expecting his backup to blow out his knee. That's the only way it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think locks for the playoffs have to be Tech and Notre Dame, right?
I mean, their schedules are a joke,
right? Because of their talent. But
not only is in the Big 12, but they avoid the best teams in the Big 12 this year. Their biggest matchup all season. Wait for it. Houston at home in Lubbock. That's their juggernaut. I mean, ours is like Ohio State at LSU, OU at A&M, hosting Ole Miss. I mean, we literally play 7 teams maybe as good or better than Houston.
Yeah.
And that's Tech's big mega game. And they could lose it and they're still going to the playoff.
Exactly. We got to figure out a way to equalize this, man, because it's not the same sport. I remember in the Big 12, I'd be like, man, whatever about the SEC. And then you get in there, you're like, oh, yeah, okay. Yep, clearly different. When you play Kentucky and everyone's still like 6'4", and you're like, what is going on, dude?
Yeah, I mean, the problem with SEC scrubs, and I know people overdo it, like, well, it's an SEC schedule. I mean, the problem with SEC scrubs is they're talented. They just suck.
Yeah, there's just something dysfunctional in the culture or whatever, but like their
Bad
athletes are
coach.
great.
I mean, dude, Connor, I watched so much Auburn last year and I regret it because it's one of the most painful like
Yeah.
things I've ever done. Just like rooting for them almost because they're so hapless. That was a 9-win football team.
Yeah.
Just look at their bodies, look at the athletes. It's a 9-win football team, and they went freaking 5-7. They lost 8 games by a score or less. I'm sorry, 7 games by a score or less. Every single game they played. So, I mean, but when you see them, you're not like, oh, these guys suck. We're going to roll through them like an old Big 12 opponent, right? It's like they've got the bodies and the athletes. They just don't play good. Like
I had the most basic analysis that ended up being right on Auburn because everyone that was really in the weeds and was like really studying them was telling me about the athletes. Yeah, were you one of them? I know Ian was like, but it was a bunch of people. It was like a trendy pick, and it made sense if you were in the weeds. But you know how like distance can help you. You know how you have like a friend who has like a mean girlfriend and he can't figure it out, but your distance allows you to be like, just break up with her, dude.
Yeah, you're like, hey man, just break up with
Yeah,
her.
like sometimes you need to be in it to understand, and sometimes you actually need to be out of it to understand. And as soon as they picked Jackson Arnold, I was like, it's not gonna work. The coach that would think to take Jackson Arnold is not a winning coach. And so it's like I just had the most basic analysis, and I was ended up being able to be correct by just one fact. That's how much I don't believe in Jackson Arnold.
Yeah, I presented this 5D chess argument about Auburn, and look at this guy, and look at this NFL draft stock prediction for this group, and you're like, they seem like losers.
Yeah,
and that was right.
Yeah, and normally you do need the dive, but I don't know. Auburn, I just was like, no. If you looked at Jackson Arnold and went, that's how we can fix this. I just don't trust your organization.
Well, that will happen too if you cover Texas, because you know all of our weak spots.
Right.
And you know every single little tiny deficiency, and you're like, oh, they're gonna exploit this. And then what's crazy, particularly if you read other fan boards, if you guys don't read other boards or have a broad swathe of different teams that you'll go read or study up on, Texas fans are unusually self-critical.
Yeah.
Like we're much more self-critical, and we have more of a, broadly speaking, more nerd bent of like, let's break down every single aspect of the team. You go to a Tennessee board right now, they think they're going to win the national championship.
Yeah.
Like when the Vegas season win totals came out and they were at 6.5, now it's at 7.5. They were like, this is outrageous. Anyone can see this is a 10-win team.
Yeah.
And they're like going through their schedule, and the Texas game, they're like, we're not losing the SEC opener. I mean,
well, what's funny is Texas does get the like elitist delusional branding from other things, but like we do videos. I talk to a lot of people about what they think is going to happen this season, and no one's saying national championship. People are scared to say it. They're like, it'd be really nice if we got in the playoffs. Like it's a very safe, reasonable take, and people think Texas fans are like, we're going to win it all, we're the best, but really Texas fans are trepidatious and like, well, let's be reasonable about this, guys. Like, it's a hard schedule. It is funny the difference between actual Texas fans and the idea of Texas fans.
Well, when I write my preview, every year where I do a preview of upcoming opponents, and now I just do the whole SEC as well. I'll get a decent sense of certain teams by going to their boards and kind of reading up on the vibe. Ole Miss, for example, pretty good understanding of their team once you leave their boards. Tennessee, they literally can't fathom that they've lost a game ever. And what's interesting is Mississippi State will be, you can tell that they're beaten down because obviously Levy's doing a good job there.
Yeah.
After the loss to Texas in overtime, which I'm sorry, they're the inferior team. They took us to overtime and almost beat us, right? Yeah. They're like, what a joke, fire the entire staff. And you're just like, whoa, like, what are you doing?
That was proof of concept.
Yeah. I understand it's L's a L. There's no moral victories, but dude, that was a moral victory. This is a sign of your program turning the corner.
Yeah.
You have like 3 or 4 dudes on your entire team who would start for Texas, and you just took us to overtime. You outcoached us, dudes. You should be happy with Levy. And they're like, this guy's a joke. Get Levy out of here. It's like, all right. But yeah,
And some boards have different personalities. Like if you go to, Georgia, this one board, they're insane, but this other board is much more analytical and much more.
yes,
I do find generally teams that win more are more reasonable. Now, if they're a team that's used to winning and they start losing, then the fan base, Alabama, right? You see a different thing. But when they're in that winning phase, they're always kind of like fair play to the recruit. And then as soon as they start losing, they're like, Texas is paying all of our players, stealing all of our players. But there is this like delusion that comes with like it's the A&M delusion of like never being there. Like they're more intense for whatever reason.
Well, when I was I went to the USC Texas game, the famous Rose Bowl. Amazing game, obviously. And I went out there just amazingly. The company I was working for, the biotech company I was working for at the time, had a training out there. And I volunteered to conduct the training because it was in LA. And so I was like, I'm going to spend the whole week in LA up into the Rose Bowl. And then I'll just transition into the greatest game ever played, right?
Yeah.
Every single person I spoke to in Los Angeles was like, why would you come to this game? You're going to lose by 40, 50 points. Like, why would you do that? Why would you spend money on your ticket? You've just wasted like $1,000 and all this time. And like, just to get blown out by USC, why would you even show up? And I remember thinking like
genuinely concerned.
I remember thinking like, man, I kind of analyzed this game and I think we match up pretty well. And I know we're a touchdown underdog, but I think we're going to be fine. And it's going to be a great game. And I honestly was like, there's something I'm missing. Like every one of these people knows something I don't. And it wasn't that. It was they're all just bandwagon Johnny-come-lately USC fans who didn't have any understanding since they took interest in the program that USC could lose. And ESPN had told them they were the greatest.
I was going to say, to be fair, everything in the media told them this was God's team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I came in as this idolater saying, I'm going to worship this three-headed God instead. And they're just like, you should be smashed.
It is funny how much the players on Texas team were just like pissed. Every time they'd see Drew would talk about it, everything would just anoint that team. And they're like, you just wait, dude.
Well, anytime as Texas, and this is straight Kirby Smart and it's Bush League, but I'm for it. Anytime we can manufacture a narrative where we're the underdog, that serves Texas really well. Like it puts our players in the right state of mind and the right psyche, because Texas is default complacent, bloated, and just sort of like anytime you can get people to be like, oh yeah, Texas is a joke, we're going to blow them out. Suddenly everyone's like, oh really? Yeah. Oh, interesting. And then you get a little edge, which, we often need to manufacture, and it always serves us well when we're the dogs.
It was that funny week of the Florida loss into OU where they're like, the team's always like, we don't listen to the media. And as soon as they beat OU, they're like, oh, we're soft, huh? We're soft. Yeah. It's like, okay. Every time, we don't listen to the media. As soon as they win, they quote everything the media had been saying that week. It always cracks me up. It never
if I was a head coach, I would manufacture fake newspapers and just like Kirby did, right?
Yeah.
Remember they won their first national title and they're going for the repeat, like equally loaded, if not better. And Kirby's like, everybody thinks you're going 7-5. And he had like fake newspaper.
Well, Kirby's remarkable at that. Like he has all the 5 stars. Everyone picks him to win the national championship. And then somehow they win and they're like, no one believed in us.
He's like, again. I know y'all saw this article in Car and Driver magazine.
Yeah.
That was a joke, speeding joke.
Well, I don't like that type of humor, man.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't like that.
But hey,
it definitely wasn't that I was reading a comment and didn't hear what you said. I did not stand for that joke.
The main thing that people do expect from our podcast is that it be classy. So let's be classy.
That's true. Here.
By the way, I would like you to hang a chandelier behind you when we do these videos.
You don't like the horns, dog?
No, I'm just saying a chandelier is like one of the classiest things that you can see or have.
That actually is true. And like a chocolate fountain.
A chocolate fountain's really classy. That's why that's why Golden Corral has them.
Yeah, I love Golden Corral, dude. People hate on Golden Corral. Golden Corral is awesome. They closed down the one and did, and I was legitimately bummed out. Like, what a wonderful.
What I love about you is really, for those of you who see a somewhat affable Connor on these videos, he's really incredible snob, but he also loves Golden Corral.
I'm either an elitist or like the lowest down populist.
Yes.
I don't hang out in the middle at all.
No.
Like all my takes are like snobby or like bottom of the barrel. I don't. The
Connor
middle
has
is lame.
no bourgeoisie values.
Yeah. I fly between the top and the bottom class on all my opinions. All right, everybody, before we keep going, let's hear a word from Academy.
Oh, it's an auto worm bite, turns out.
Giant. Oh, giant.
It's a giant, so.
Oh, it's a giant. Oh, it's a giant. It's a giant.
In honor of this returning production, this means that we have experience. We'll talk through it real quick. This is what Eric has for us. It's just a little quick. We don't want to do line by line, so this video will be 3 hours. But we get Arch Manning back as a starter. I think that's a good key, Paul. Do you agree?
I think this Arch Manning kid is going to take the country by surprise. He's been flying under the radar, and I think we're about to launch Arch Manning on the world.
Wow, I think that's really powerful.
Connor hits
if he can be
the board spirit.
Yep, that's the move, dude.
What is the Centurion Lounge? Do you know, Connor?
It's got to be some type of elite airport.
Not air porn. That's something different.
Not air porn, right? You sure?
It's the Amex. If you're an American Express Platinum card holder, you have access to the Centurion Lounge in certain airports, like 7 or 8 airports in the country.
Honestly, didn't even know you can pay to just get in some of them without even being like involved.
You can. It's not really worth the money. And like you're in the Austin airport, just go eat some barbecue and like hang out, in those tables. But yeah, I used to fly a ton, so I was in all the little elite lounges, including the Centurion Lounge. And what's so sad is the corporate America convinces you that you're living the life because you're flying everywhere, not seeing your family or friends. But you get these little perks of, someone gives you a glass of Chardonnay for free in a lounge, and suddenly you think you're, Thurston Howell.
Yeah. My best friend, same thing. He started flying. He flies all the time. He's the one that knows all the lounges. Like whenever, and he'll just, book flights on his points. And same thing. We would just go to the lounge to him. And then like, I guess he's 5 years into it. And he's like, it's such a lonely life, dude. He was like, he's like, after you've been all over the US, you're like, you're not going to go look at this building again. You've been there 3 times. So he's like, you're just kind of sad in a hotel room most of the time.
Well, and also when you fly a lot, you lose all patience with people because there's a large segment of the American public that, in 2011, they're going through the TSA line and they're like, I can't bring my buck knife through. Yeah. Oh man. And then they get the beep again and they start taking change out of their pockets. And then you're just, oh, my rabbit foot set it off. Hold on. And you're just sitting there and you've got everything like slick. You're like,
oh yeah. He has one tiny bag. It's like the most efficient.
That's me.
Yeah.
And I have like my shoes already in my hand, blah, 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 all set. And I'm just sitting there stewing, like about to physically attack these people. I can't bring a handgun through. I thought this was America. You're just like going nuts.
Have you seen those old videos when they outlawed drinking and driving and they were interviewing like the populace and they were like, what is this? Are we under a communist dictatorship about not being able to drink and drive?
To reveal my age as a Gen Xer, I remember distinctly in the 90s, and this is everyone bemoans the turn of society and our wussiness.
Yeah.
Often true. This is one area where we did improve. I remember many friends being like, yeah, man, I'm drunk, but I'm a pretty good drunk driver. Give me the keys. Yeah. And you're like, okay, he'll drive. He's a good drunk driver. Yeah. Like, it's good that we improve that and we don't do that anymore. So I will, hey, props to modernity on that one.
I really liked, I will love watching those interviews. That and seatbelt laws. People are like, what is this?
I'd rather be thrown from the car in case it catches on fire.
Yeah, I don't know, somehow this got tied to their masculinity at some level. And then it's just funny, the same arguments about any new thing that gets introduced. It's just like the same boilerplate argument that comes up. All right, left tackle.
Put on your seatbelts for this one.
Put on your seatbelts, guys. So he's going to return. He's really good. And he's been injured, though. But I think we'll be fine there. And then we need to see who can be left tackle number 2.
I predict he shall return from injury. And here's the crazy thing about Gooseby. He's only got 15 starts. He is obviously good, but this guy's going to get better. He is nowhere near his peak. If you looked at his roster weight, He's now up to what, 320, 325? He's a legit 6'7". I think he's a top 10 draft pick. And the domination that he put on Cassius Howell in Austin was,
awesome.
If you're a speed rusher with short arms, going against Trevor Gooseby is a nightmare because he's he's athletic as you are, but 75 pounds heavier, and he's 6'7" with long arms. You're literally not going to touch his body unless he wants you to. So I don't know what profile of rusher does best against him because I've seen him dominate all sorts of different types. Maybe if you're like a power guy and you're like in a 4-eye and maybe he would struggle to root you out against the run, right?
Yeah.
The pass rusher, he is just a nightmare. I mean, he's an NFL tackle playing in college football, and we've got to take advantage of that.
Yeah. Do you remember the game within the game with Cassius Howell? And basically, Texas had scouted that he was emotional. And so they knew that if they talked trash to him, it would get him off his game. Because remember, he'd had that freak out on the line versus LSU and all this stuff. So part of the game plan was make sure you're saying stuff to Cassius Howell after every snap and try to get him to force it. And so that was cool too. They did it like the old school NBA. They did a psychology report on him to try to get him off his game.
We ran a psyop on Cassius.
They ran a psyop on Cassius Howell. Yeah.
We dropped psychological operations leaflets on him before the game.
Yeah. Left guard. I don't know. I think I was going to say, this 2025. Okay. I was like, no, we know it's going to be Lawrence Seymour. But yeah, that didn't go well. I'm pretty sure it's people kind of said that it's a battle. But I'm like, no, it's Lawrence Seymour. I've watched his tape. He's going to start it.
All right. Well, let me be a super negative Texas fan here because we're all rejoicing that he got in. It is important he show up in shape.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, and I don't take that 100% for granted.
I agree.
Sometimes guys get paid and they don't have someone over them like a strength. He's at Western Kentucky. The Western Kentucky S&C coach ain't like, hey, let's get up and do that run, Lawrence. I mean, they're done with him.
They're not training you to leave. Yeah.
That's right. So he's got to be self-motivated. He's got to show up in shape. That's important because he's not here right now, right? He's going to show up in May, June. So that's the next step. He's got to show up in shape and ready to go. And hopefully that's the case because he understands, hey, this isn't just one payday from Texas. It's the potential to create many future paydays in the NFL.
For sure. Center last year, as we know, we started Cole Hudson. That didn't go well. Connor Robertson comes in. We're getting Connor back. How do you feel about that? Because I just felt a little weird where he was basically kind of looking over the field like, it's been a great time here with the Texas Longhorns. Yeah. And then they were like, he'll come back if we want him to, which was a weird way to phrase it.
So he knows he's not an NFL player.
Right.
And he's ready to start his life and get into commercial real estate or whatever he's going to go do. Yeah. And I think that's just how it was, which is basically like, hey, if they ask me back, I'll go be the center at Texas. And I've got a bunch of experience and I know all the line calls and et cetera, et cetera. And then Texas viewed it as, maybe we can upgrade. No. Okay. Let's bring back Connor. I think it was.
And his big thing is the floor. I'm not, like I said, he's not an NFL player. I'm not looking at him to do wow blocks. I'm just looking at him to not mess up assignments, not let people hit Arch in the mouth, and then just make the calls. It's all about floor with him.
Well, and you can have the Jag center if he's surrounded by talent.
Right.
What really amplified our issues last year is that we really struggled at center and left guard. People really focus on left guard. Center was not good. Center was very, very poor at having those two guys by each other. As you saw many times in the deep dive, as Ian and I went nuts circling things on the telestrator, it was a combo effort of ineptitude there. And I think we've upgraded center and I think we've upgraded left guard, but we got to go show it and prove it.
Sure, that's true. That's very true. Right guard, DJ Campbell.
Thank you.
To Brandon Baker.
Look, Baker, here's what we know about him. He's athletic. He has good feet. And he wasn't strong enough last year. So that doesn't sound like a classic guard.
At Texas.
But if you emphasize pass pro and in your run game, you emphasize zone, particularly outside zone, those are actually decent attributes. And there's a possibility he can get stronger. You can actually lift heavy weights not lift 135 real fast, but actually lift heavy weights, and you'll get stronger.
And they're doing that from all reporting.
So they say, Connor.
Yeah. You do not play around with that weight room, but I think they did figure it out. We'll see though. I mean, we'll learn very quickly.
Oh, is that what you think?
Yes, I think.
Why don't I interview you then? How about that?
I think that's what Eric reported. You think Eric just conspiracy theorist? He's kept media. He's state media.
He is. He's state media. He's like a North Korean newsmaker.
We get him on the little broadcast. The great Texas Longhorns.
The wheat harvest has tripled all predictions of production.
Right tackle, Siani. I like this one, man. He's quick. Every time I think of him, I think of him pulling out on like a sweep. He has that movement. Also, Canadian. Fun fact about him. So we have Canoe and we have Siani. We have 2 international players.
He is a political refugee, if I recall.
He is, yes.
He's a
very sad backstory. But he also, from that interview Texas put out, he didn't start playing football till his senior year.
Yeah, he's the classic, like late to football, still figuring it out, great body. And that's how he ended up initially at Wake, right? People are always asking, like, how did this 6'6" guy with great feet end up at Wake Forest? That's how. And this happens all the time in football, right?
We had it with Christian Jones, kind of.
Yeah, Christian Jones was that guy, right? Soccer kid in a 6'6", 310-pound body. Siani is basically Trevor Gooseby light. And one thing I have heard is that he needed to adjust a little bit to the intensity and sort of pace of a big-time program.
I'm sure.
And that's to be expected. I'm not critical of the great Wake Forest Demon Deacon football program, but I have a guess that it's probably not quite the intensity level of Texas. And so I think there's a sense that he needs to get a little stronger and get a little more into the competitiveness. And also every day in practice, think about our edge room, dude. I mean, when we go our 2s on defense, you're still going against
NFL players.
You're going against future NFL players. So if you're kind of dragging ass, whereas at Wake Forest, you're going against like a walk-on. Right? So, I think you have to kind of wake up a little bit. And I think Siani's going to do that. But hey, very athletic, long, great feet. I just think he's Gooseby light, basically.
Running back. This is the one I'm excited about.
Yeah. More experience and more talent. I'll take that combo.
More speed too, man. More quickness, more yards after contact, all the things of squeezing the juice that we didn't have last year is there. And then you have a bunch of other guys waiting in their wings, right? That we don't really know what they'll do, but they're interesting. Cooper in situations. What do you do with Niblett? Is he gadgety? Does James Simon take that leap? There's a lot of fun storylines here beyond just the transfers.
Well, I'll say this. I know from seeing James Simon that he's at least competent. So that's fine. And then, dude, I mean, you and I are both kind of leery of going all in on this, but the insider reports we're getting on Derek Cooper are over the top. And so, it would be fun just to relate them without any filter. But you and I are both kind of like, we're hesitant to be the mouthpiece for this. Yeah. But every time we ask about Derek Cooper, people are raving about his ability level. So it's not just Smothers and Raleek Brown that everyone's excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. What do we do with Terry? No idea. We'll have to see.
Terry is the black box of Texas football.
Yeah.
And people read into him whatever they like.
They can. Well, that's the problem. 5-star that hasn't played a lot, it contains all futures.
He contains multitudes. Yes.
Yeah. And so whatever you want to project upon him, you can put on him. But I just want to see him get reps like in the spring game. That'd be nice.
Yeah, and also, unfortunately, they've got practice pictures of him up close looking jacked. So that also adds to the, like, a dude with biceps like that has got to be able to contribute.
There is true.
There's an element of that as well.
I don't buy the freshman reports. Here's the thing. I can be trepidatious, but there's a couple reasons why I buy it. First, we're only allowed to show you guys like a couple clips. Like it's the rule from Texas, but I get a lot of clips and I just have to pick 2. So I get to see a lot of them running their routes and stuff like that. That looks good. I know it's not, player on player, but when I'm mostly talking about Bishop here. But also Texas kind of has this new model where, look, the freshman report guys are highly paid. players. And if you remember last year in the transfers, basically, if you didn't do anything in your first year, they kind of cut you. So I think right now you should buy into the few freshmen they are talking about because they're highly paid. And they basically said, look, if you don't do something year one, we're not going to carry your salary. So that's why I believe it more than I traditionally would even 5 years ago.
Yeah, and also, I mean, so I understand Ryan being a little apprehensive.
Yeah.
We didn't get the proof of a spring game last year. So we were flying blind on some reports and people trying to sell us some goods, particularly in the offensive line. If I'd been able to watch a spring game, I would have been like, hey, like, no, this isn't good. So we're going to get a chance to see some of these guys, Ryan. So hang on. And then part two of that, I think, jives with what Connor's saying. And also, we don't need any of these freshmen. I mean, I'm not saying that Jermaine Bishop being an amazing player wouldn't help us. He would. Yeah. I'm just saying there's not really a position where we're hoping a freshman comes through.
They're not selling you a freshman starter.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So when they tell you stuff about the freshmen, you should be more inclined to believe it because they're not selling. They don't have a reason to sell you a bill of goods about, any of these guys because they're not slated to start. So I don't know. That's kind of how I look at it. But trust but verify. We'll have a spring game to check out some of these dudes.
I absolutely agree. It's a great point. Yeah, when the freshman's starting, they have to sell it. It's not that our team sucks at that position and a freshman's being forced, but they're all saying like, look, man, these guys could rise through the ranks as second and third stringers. That's a little bit of a different thing. They aren't having forced to justify why a freshman is starting. I think that's a good point. And they're not saying it about a ton of them. These are all guys that like you watch their huddle in high school and you're like, oh, these are good football players. It makes sense.
Yep.
Tight end. My boy Jack Andrews got done so dirty, so underutilized, but he decided to continue on. God bless him. But we get Masunis, big blocking inline guy. Shannon, hopefully on the end of his development curve that's taking a little bit of time. Nick Townsend has elite like 10, 100-meter speed for a tight end, which is insane. And then Winston's repeatedly known as like best hands on the team, finds the zone, does the little things right. So this room, it does have more experience, but it's also just better, to your point earlier.
Yeah, I mean, there's the money ball thing of we got to get rid of Jason Giambi. Let's replace him in the aggregate, right? You're not looking for a one-to-one player necessarily to replace him. Endries has had incredible hands. He's got great feel for space and getting open. However, Masunis, we have not seen an inline hand-down tight end like him in years at Texas. In years. And then we've got natural progression for both Nick Townsend and Emery Winston. Winston, the thing that caught my eye, Connor, did you see the preseason weights?
Yeah, but I don't remember his specifically.
Up to 246. He came to Texas about 225, 230 maybe. And the thing was, he's kind of an H-back, not classic size. Now he's got the size to line up in the backfield and be a lead blocking hammer. And then you can slip him out and play action. And we know this guy's got like feathery, soft hands. So very valuable. Nick Townsend's a physical freak. He just needed to, get college reps. And it's obvious that we have plans for him based on his play late in the year and how we were using him. And then Spencer Shannon, I've been writing for 3 years. Hey, he can't be an NBA small forward. He needs to be a power forward. He's got to get his weight over 260. Lo and behold, you look at the roster, he's 266. And he was in the 240s for most of his career at Texas. So I think these are all good progressions. I think we have a varied group of tight ends who can all do different things. And then I think enough of them can do the other thing they're not as good at well enough to stay on the field and it doesn't hurt you. So if we're throwing the ball and we want to do play action, Michael Masunis out there doesn't hurt you. He can run out there and catch a ball. He's just not as gifted athletically as Townsend or Emery Winston.
I agree. This is a big excitement for me because I love the tight end room. We're actually getting some blockers. Wide receiver. All right. Cam Coleman. I really like him. Wingo, he just got to take the next step. We've said it 1,000 times. Mosley coming back off an injury, but I thought he was the most skilled wide receiver. So that's kind of the initial projected starting lineup. Anything else, Paul?
I mean, I think the room is way better. I think it's dramatically better, not just in terms of everyone adding a year. I mean, guys like Wingo, Mosley adding a year is valuable, but Coleman, obviously a huge addition in terms of pure talent, but he's not just like an NFL combine guy. He's got real receiver traits and he's got amazing hands. You and I saw that when we did the deep dive just on Cam Coleman. So if you guys want our scouting report, Ian and I did 25 minutes of Cam Coleman at Auburn, and his hands are unbelievable. He has ball winnerness, like ball in the air. He'll go get it. He's fast. He's got good body control. He's a legit 6'3 plus. You see pictures of him standing next to Arch. These aren't, he's really 6'1", and we give him 2 inches. There's reason to be excited. Sterling Burkhalter was actually a pretty good addition too. Just very experienced, savvy guy. So if Wingo has a tender hammy in 1 week and we need to sit him in a precautionary sense, you could roll out Burkhalter and he'll be just fine. So, and then they love the freshman. So, I mean, I said
and they love Dalen too. They always rave about McCutcheon too.
Yeah, they did. He didn't play great against Michigan.
Yeah, that was tough because when you on the field, just seeing it from a fan, you're like, I don't really see it, but all the reports are very pro McCutcheon.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, I know we jettisoned some people here as well. That's just the nature of football now. I mean, if you're being paid at a certain level and you're not performing at that level, we got to cut ways with you. We can't take a 5-star with a 5-star salary and turn him into a developmental prospect that we hope we get something out of as a redshirt junior. Like, that's not a thing. You can't carry that. So he's got to go. And that's just where we are now in football.
Paul, who's the best mortgage man in the whole wide world?
Well, there's a guy that you don't want to jettison in these tumultuous times. You want to go with the best. That's Gabe Winslow. You could reach him at 832-557-1095. Gabe is absolutely fantastic at what he does. We have numerous raves from folks from this YouTube show, from my podcast, the Everyone Gets a Trophy podcast, from Inside Texas, where they just rave about him. Sometimes I'll throw up my pod or we'll throw up one of these YouTubes and someone will just be like, Gabe is the GOAT. And it's a satisfied customer. And there's a difference in this sort of arena about the kind of guy you use. Here's the thing, Connor, it's the most important financial decision you'll make in your life, buying a house. And yet the people you work with, you usually never worked with before, or you don't even have experience. It might be your first time ever doing this. Dude, there's so much opportunity for people to take advantage of you or for you to pick suboptimal choices. And that could jeopardize this important transaction. Go with the guy who's time-tested and proven and just really excellent at what he does. That's Gabe, 832-557-1095.
Wow, you even added the anticipation at the end.
I really know how to do reads now.
Yeah, you're really good. You're really good, man. All right, let's talk through defense before we get into NIL. Basketball. Defensive end is really good. Like I've said, you can get down to the third strings and you have NFL players. Like, I love Zena. I think he's awesome. And he'll be behind Lance Jackson. Of course, you already know I love Lance Jackson. That's the first rounder, baby. And then we got to see if Vosic also is the black box, right, of defense. You can project everything onto him, but he's just got to get healthy and stay healthy. Arogbo, remember, Paul, when we were breaking down Sam Houston State, we were like, Smith has the second fastest get off behind Colin Simmons at edge. That dude is quick as hell.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, I just love this room. And then you have the young guys, Richard Wesley and then Jamarian Carlton, so you can play that 4-eye. So we don't need to spend too much time here because it's just awesome, man. It's an awesome, awesome room.
It's got depth. It's got top-line talent. It's got multiple NFL guys, and they're big and they're long. But they don't compromise athleticism. So, I mean, Simmons is the tiny guy. And, he's 6'2.5", 250. So, and he's just one of the most unique players that ever has played at Texas in terms of his motor, in terms of effort and elite athleticism. It's just, it's really cool to see a guy that talented play that hard. He plays harder than like the gutty walk on, right, that you put out there. Like, our buddy Jet Bush was out there. He's obviously a physically talented dude, but also played his ass off when he was out there, right? This is my moment. Colin Simmons plays like he's a walk-on who's worried he's going to get cut after the game.
Yeah.
And that's such a rare attribute in a guy with that skill level. So I think we all just need to appreciate that. Lance Jackson's a freak. He's as freaky as Colin Simmons in a different package.
Yeah.
Zena Umeozulu is a starter and like the premier featured guy at most Division I programs. And he's our backup. He's our third defensive end. Jamarian Carlton, I think, is being undersold a little bit. That guy's he is a block of muscle, classic big defensive end 4-eye, like immovable. And I think he's going to do really good stuff for us. You talked about Arogbo's get off, how quick he is off the ball. And then Wesley's this incredibly hyped dude. Vosick has done great stuff when he's played. He's just always been injured. We got to get him healthy.
And this is all homegrown too, right? Like this is guys that have been in the program cooking.
So these are guys, I mean, I know there's some counterpoints to this, but it really is important to try to home grow your offensive line and your defensive line because they're just not always available in the portal. And when they are available, it's a premium price tag.
Yeah. And we did that mostly too on the inside. We brought in some noses, Gaffard, like situational, hey, in 3 down, 0 tech, we need this body. But otherwise, I mean, we're turning January, Canoe, Watson, guys that are getting a year older. And love this room as well, man. The interior defensive line room for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years is just, for maybe 5, have just been absolutely awesome. People changing out all the time, and you still just feel really comfortable with anyone who's playing.
Yeah, I love our starters here. They don't have the top line flash of a Byron Murphy, Tavante Sweat combo.
Right.
Because very few college teams in the history of college football have had that combo inside. Yeah. We've been incredibly fortunate. That said, our depth here is the best we've ever had under Steve Sarkisian at defensive tackle. And we had good depth. Remember Alfred Collins was our like
Vernon
rotation.
Broughton.
Yeah, Vernon Broughton. I mean, those were quality defensive tackles, and they were our subs. I think we have 6, maybe 7 guys that if they're out there, you're not concerned. You're like, yeah, cool. Let's get Josiah
Sharman. I was
Sharman.
saying this on the tape. I get like, normally second and third string comes in, you're watching the tape, you're like, oh, here we go. I'm legit excited whenever the second and third string comes in because I want to see what they can do type of thing. They've just been, and they're just really well coached, man. Like Kenny Baker's just doing a really good job in that room.
Well, there's a guy that's not even listed here, Murad Watson.
Right.
So he needed to get stronger. He's more of a finesse guy, and then against finesse teams, he did well, but he kind of would get bullied maybe sometimes against more powerful teams. Yep. He put on a bunch of weight. He's been lifting, and he was sophomore last year, a true sophomore. That guy's got upside. I mean, there's so many people here. There's so much potential. Justice Terry, I think he's going to be a D lineman more than a defensive tackle. I think he's going to play up and down the line, but he can certainly play inside. I mean, it's not like, being 280, 285 inside, that hurts you on snap number 30 playing defensive tackle. It doesn't hurt you on snap number 3. On snap number 3, you've got an athletic advantage over the guard across from you. The bigger issue is, can you take the wear and tear over the course of the game as they kind of lean on you? But we don't have to ever see that, Justice Terry, because we can put in someone else.
That's why it's a bummer he's hurt, man. I really wanted to hear what he was able to do, but it is what it is. Linebacker, Rasheem Biles, I think he's an absolute baller. Yep. I mean, he moves like a safety. He has blitz ability. He can come off the edge. He just does a lot of cool stuff, and he makes big plays. He had several, pick sixes and stuff like that. So he's looking to take the ball back the other way. I think that's important playmaking-wise. Of course, we have Anthony Smith, who's out, so we don't really know what's going on there. But it looks like Justin Cryer, Juice Cryer from Florida State, has been taking the majority of the starting Mike reps. This room is my biggest, besides offensive line, this is my biggest question room at Texas right now.
Well, we talked about the D-line, and one of the characteristics, both inside and out, is the versatility and the different styles of play and body types that you can play. Oh, you guys want to pound us? Oh, we're about to put out a bunch of guys you're not going to push around. Oh, you want to drop back and throw the ball 50 times? We're rolling out a blitz, pass rush package that you're going to regret. Our linebackers are all small guys who can run. And we've got one exception to that in Juice Cryer. I watched him at Florida State. He was a step slow. He's very physical, though. He's a circa 1994 middle linebacker.
Correct.
So we'll see on him. Brad Spence, I don't assume he can just play off the ball because he never really has. And even when Arkansas played him off the ball, it was to run blitz.
Correct. It was still forward facing stuff even when he was off ball.
It was all downhill. First step at the snap of the ball is downhill, right? Real linebacker, what we need for that mint front especially is you got to diagnose and go find the football. And I don't know if Spence can do that. Doesn't mean he can't, just we haven't seen it yet on film. So Tyler Atkinson, obviously it cut from the Rasheem Biles, Ty Anthony Smith mold, just very, very fast, violent, but, small, 215, 220. I've said before, Rasheem Biles 25 years ago, he's your strong safety. And he's not 215. He's 205. So that's the makeup of this group. If we play 95 Nebraska, we might have some issues with like them running the veer inside. But other than that, Georgia might be the only team that could kind of push our linebackers around if they can get leaked out on them. But we've got a lot of ways we can play our front that can protect these guys. The downside is a lot of the ways that we could play our front to protect these guys could diminish the efficacy of our natural front four pass rush.
Right.
So that's the trade-off. The other thing we could do, we could go super aggressive and fire these guys like Biles and Smith alternating into the backfield and just become incredibly chaos oriented. And that could be a lot of fun as well.
You also just hope, say they're not that great against the run. Well, you hope they rack up enough interceptions and good things in coverage that it's totally, because ultimately pass game is the most efficient form of offense. Yep. You can shut that down. It'll get frustrating. You get ran on a little bit, but look, man, if they end up with 4 or 5 picks on the year each, that kind of thing, I think you can offset some of that by just being really good in the pass.
It's very difficult for me as an old school Neanderthal to think that giving up a 9-yard completion is the same as a 9-yard run when you're out, when the opponent's offense is on the 40. But it's the same. And I know one of them, you're like, oh, they're emasculating us. They're running the ball 9 yards. It's still 2nd and 1. As long as you could stop the run situationally, right? Goal line, 3rd and short, 4th and short. As long as you can stop the run when you want to stop the run, right?
Yeah.
That's all that matters. And it's hard to get your mind wrapped around that because there's a whole narrative of.
Well, we were taught our whole life to stop the run. You must stop the run.
If someone got 6 yards, you're just not a man.
Right.
And if someone completes a 6-yard pass, you're like, good, keep it in front of you. Good job.
Yeah, exactly.
It just doesn't make sense. The key to the run is situational football. If you can stop them on 3rd and short, 4th and short, and the red zone, then your run defense is good. And it doesn't matter what happens on the 30-yard line when they gain 7. It just doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been the biggest switch I see. Cornerback / star. Love the room. Whoever ends up there, Littleton, Masco, Phillips, I think it'll be a combination of those 3 at that 3 key positions anyways, but I feel good about it regardless how it goes. And then I feel good about the depth there with Kobe Black, Roberson, Wardell Mack. I love it.
If there's a group, so I think we're selling the defensive line as big time, right? Mm-hmm. If there's a group that might surprise us, I think it could be the corners and stars. Because there's just so many guys, it's difficult for me to imagine that the starters that emerge won't be really good. And even if the starters that emerge are just fine, the guy directly behind them is literally an equivalent player. So any injuries that we absorb, knock on wood, I don't need 3 injuries, but on injury, one guy tweaks his ankle and has to miss a week, there's not going to be a drop-off, at least from what we've heard so far. We still have more spring. We still have more development. We've got the fall. We've got the whole summer of eating, running, and lifting. I get all that. I like the way we set up. I think Malik Muhammad, we can match his ability level, more or less. And I think we're going to improve and upgrade Jalen Gilbo. And then we started a true freshman at star last year. I think that should improve, whether it's the same guy or any guy good enough to beat out Grayson Littleton and send him to corner. Well, that's good. That's a good player. So And I went and watched Bo Musco again at Rutgers. That guy can play. He
was a man corner too, man. Like he played Penn State, and they were just making him lock guys and run across the field the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, he was like a follow cover corner.
Yeah,
and dude, his issues were not coverage. He was just a skinny guy, and sometimes people would run through him, like run through his tackle. He's just getting older and stronger, and dude, that guy can cover. If you just want someone to lock a dude up in man coverage, I think his ability level is being undersold.
I agree.
I'm really impressed with this group, and if we can get similar equivalent play out of the safety, man, this defense could be very good.
Also a scheme upgrade, right? Like if they're not just sitting in zone, letting guys catch the ball, like there's just that factor too, is like they won't do dumb stuff and bust plays. And last year was insane on that back half.
Well, I think I shared the stat during the season that when Aquino was at Arizona, they were like 112th in pass defense. He left. They added a safety from San Jose State. That was their only addition. Oh, they added a guy from Duquesne. And their pass D went from 112 in the country to top 10. And the only change was really Aquino. It's telling because we saw the same things when we did the deep dives. And we're like, look, this guy, we're circle a guy. This guy literally doesn't know what coverage we're in. It's very obvious.
Well, me and Ian be arguing for 10 minutes on like what the coverage even was because it was so busted, and like that's not a good sign when we can't even tell what they're trying to run.
I promise you, when we bust the coverage this year, we're going to know exactly who was responsible.
Exactly.
So the hope is we don't bust many. I think there's a huge upgrade here. And I think one of the things that's cool about both Muschamp and Gideon, what was their position in college? Safety. So these guys are going to get coached up, and there's going to be critical eyes on this position. And, I hope Derek Williams is back 100%. If he is, we're done. Like, we're good. If he's not, now we got to get some guys coached up, and we're going to have some guys maybe not as comprehensive a skill set. Filsame may be more of a coverage guy. Johnson Rubel may be a run support guy. And then we might have to play Jelani McDonald in compensation. Good news is Jelani McDonald can do whatever you tell him to do. He can do anything.
Yeah, there's no athletic limitation with Jelani McDonald.
He has no athletic limitations. He can play in the box. He can play cover one. He can, he can get out to the sideline. He can cover. He can range. He's good in zone. He's instinctive. He likes to hit people. And he's got great hands. He's got, if you throw the ball near him, he'll grab it. So the big question is that other safety position. And I think if Derek Williams is good to go, we're good to go.
I agree. Paul, do you want to do a quick one on the NIL basketball world?
Sure.
We'll give you the speed run of this here article. So let's start with this. Let's look at this. Not a lot of Cinderellas in the sense of like I've never even heard of that school.
No Cinderellas at all. Exactly.
Yeah. Besides Texas, Paul. Besides Cinderella, Texas.
Texas is not Cinderella.
Dude, I love that argument because it immediately just lights social media on fire. As soon as they said it, I was like, people are going to feel so strongly either way. It's going to be hilarious.
The media's desire to reframe and redefine commonly used vernacular is in every facet of the media, whether it's just bread and circuses, politics, whatever. And I freaking despise it, and I want to murder them. And you think that this guy did it just to get clicks? No, he thinks that.
No, that's where. No, I think it's funnier either way. Like if generally like the genuine sports writer that's like so delusional is equally as funny to me. That's just like what an incredible story.
Well, and sports writing is inherently bread and circuses nonsense,
right?
So they're always jealous and trying to imbue gravity to what they write about someone's groin pull. And you can really go one of two ways when you write about sports. You can have some fun with it and say, this is interesting. And we all agree this is ultimately nonsensical, but we've all agreed this matters to us and it's fun and it's interesting. Right. Yeah. Or you can be Mr. I can't wait for some larger political issue to enter sports so I can opine and enlighten all of you. I have a journalism degree. So
there's a lot that couldn't make it in like political journalism, so they started hanging out in sports. You know?
I think there's a truth to that. I think there's a lot of people in
of them.
political journalism who can't make it, but they do anyway. So
Yeah.
here's the takeaway. Every single one of these teams is in a major conference, 16 out of 16. Why is that notable? Well, it happened last year. Why is that notable? Because the last 2 years is the only time it's happened in NCAA history.
Yeah, the whole point of the tournament is like what tiny no-name school is going to go deep, you know?
Well, it's not just Sweet 16. I list all the schools since 2010 that have gone to the Final Four. It's Wichita State. It's Loyola Chicago. You guys remember that one in the Final Four? It's VCU. It's obviously Gonzaga, probably the one that you could name, right? This was commonplace. This was the tournament. But the same factors that are affecting the G6 in football are affecting all the mid-majors in college basketball. And college basketball used to be much more democratic, small d democratic, right? You could just have an amazing backcourt of 3 senior 22-year-olds who have been at Drake forever. And these guys can ball. They just developed. And they're good ball handlers. They can all shoot threes. And they go play your blue chip team of 19-year-olds who all have high draft ratings in 2 years. And they just smoke them because the other team doesn't know how to go into deep water, right, in tournament basketball. Well, now those 3 classy 22-year-old guards, they start for Florida because they got snapped up. And what's happening is you have this massive talent exchange that's only going in one direction. Now, when you get a blue chip player at a lower mid-major, inordinately, even more so than football, it's a mental midget head case who robbed a gas station or something. Like, that's who you end up with. It's not just a guy who was a disappointment or didn't play well. It's like you're a disaster and they're trying to make something out of you, right? As your second and third shot, last chance you. So that's the deal. And here's the other thing. Within that structure, within the larger conferences, there's been a massive switch in power. The Big Ten, which has not won a national title in college basketball since Izzo's Michigan State in 2000, now has 6 teams in the Sweet 16, okay? The SEC, where basketball was always an afterthought, except maybe for Arkansas and Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
Teams now are like, as a side quest, taking a little football money, putting it in basketball, and being like, wow, $5 million makes a big difference in basketball. We just bought like
in football, it means nothing.
I mean, it's you can get some players, but I mean, in basketball, there's only 5 dudes on the court, and that $5 million just got you 2 All-Americans. Like, you think that improves your basketball team?
Yeah.
So now we're seeing a shift from the ACC, the Big East, the traditional basketball conferences. If you're old, in the 80s and 90s, if you didn't play in the ACC or the Big East, it was like eyebrow raised, like, you're not playing real basketball. Like, you're not playing Georgetown. You're not playing North Carolina. You're not playing real teams. Now those teams are the weak sisters. The conferences that matter in football are the same that matter in basketball. Is that a coincidence? No, because basketball dummies, and there's a lot of basketball dummies, don't understand the things that drive their sport. And this is something you do understand. You may not know how to break down a 2-3 zone, Connor, but you understand the realities of college football driving revenue to all sports. So right now, a football first classic Northeastern basketball school is an inferior job to any SEC school where basketball is number 2 or number 3 in priorities. Why? Because larger revenue dictates your relevance. And we're seeing teams like Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee be really relevant in basketball, just as, like I said, a side quest. Like, what if we repurpose a little football money and put it into basketball? Oh, look, we just played for the national title. That's fun. That's cool. The fans like that.
Yeah.
Nebraska, the ultimate football first school, now has Big Ten revenue. So you know what they did? They invested in basketball. They just got their first tournament win in school history about 6 days ago. And the follow-up game, they had one of the most raucous travel crowds, almost a home crowd in NCAA history. And if they didn't have that crowd, they would not have beaten Vanderbilt. So the point of this is that there's not only this massive redistribution of talent upwards into the major conferences, the major conferences are having a shift to the two conferences that matter in football. It's not coincidental that they are 10 of the Sweet 16, the SEC and the Big Ten. And 2 of those games to get into the Sweet 16 were settled by a final shot between SEC and Big Ten teams. So they're eliminating each other. This could have been 12 out of 16 with a slightly different seeding and redistribution of the brackets. So the point is, revenue is revenue is revenue. Money is fungible, and you can spend it on anything you want, to include baseball, basketball, and the driver of that revenue is college football.
Awesome, man. You explained that perfectly. Everybody, if you want to read more of Paul's stuff, because he's dropping it all the time, head over to Inside Texas, spring sale, 50% off on 3 Inside Texas rivals, all in the Ultimate Fan Bundle. Click the link down below. You guys stay tuned in for the rest of the shows coming out today. This was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Later.